Hello, everybody, and welcome to Internet Interviews. I'm sorry, I'm working on the name. Anyway, this is something that I've been interested in doing for a while. What I'm basically doing in this series is I'm going to go around and talk to the types of internet personalities, whether they be YouTubers, animators, musicians, etc., that have made some sort of, impact on the internet as a whole and have created their own subset of fans. I admit this hasn't exactly been the easiest endeavor to pursue. Took me a while to even get my first interview because who wants to answer a random email from some weirdo on the internet, am I right? In this first episode here, I will be going out of my way to interview somebody that has been on the internet for a while through websites such as Explosum, working with Cyanide and Happiness, and Newgrounds, working on various Flash animations. My guest today is Chase Suddarth. Chase, thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to join me. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. No problem, man.
So for those that are joining me that might not know who you are, why don't you give a brief overview of...
that should be just about everyone, right? I'm an animator most of the time. I've worked at Lowbrow. I mean, not at the moment, but I worked 10 years on stuff like College Humor and Cyanide and Happiness. I've done a ton with and just all over the place, you know. Lowbrow gets crazy jobs. I guess I also do the stream, but that's a more recent thing. And we have like an audience of like 8, so
yeah. So if you don't mind me asking, what was life like growing up for you? How was little Chase? What was he like?
well, I have 2 older siblings, and then I have a younger sister too, but she was born when I was like 8, so kind of a a gap there. You kind of had to be tough around those dicks, right? My brother's 4 years older than me. I shared a room with him, and like he's like the kind of kid that was like, my friends are down the street, let me pretend like I'm beating you up so I'll look cool. And I'd be like, fuck you, you know. But you know, when I was 13, I moved from Washington State to Arizona. It was kind of just ripped out of you know, where I grew up and everything. So I kind of started at 0 there at high school and didn't recover that much. You know, I was pretty much a loner from then on until I started jumping in with the Tomorrow's Nobodies stuff, which was already like going before I was doing anything. I was just like in physics class with Eric, and I would draw pictures and shit. He would be like, that could be useful to me.
I mean, I could definitely relate. Myself moved from New York to Louisiana at 13. Pretty much a lot of the same, you know, idea.
Oh yeah, that'll change it, right?
Yeah. So, what got you into art and animation? What were maybe some of your inspirations?
I guess I just watched a lot of cartoons and shit. You know, when I started, I wanted to be like a video game concept art guy, and I would draw like a lot of like techno night shit that I thought was cool. There's this guy, Patricio A. Solar. I don't even know if his shit's around anymore, but I would copy all his shit and be like, it's my style now, you know? I played a lot of jazz trumpet as a kid, which because Washington had this great music program that would like really be into shape quick. And then when I moved to Arizona, the music program not so good. And so I kind of dropped off of that and started favoring art more. It kind of pushed me in that direction. And I wasn't ever intending on doing animation, but when I started doing Tomorrow's Nobody stuff, it was like Ben drops out. He doesn't want to do it anymore. He was the old animator. And they're just like, Chase, you should do it. All right, I guess. So, that's the start of my career, as I guess, you know.
One of the things when, because Tomorrow's Nobodies definitely was kind of a jumping off point for me and my friends, saw it on Newgrounds, things like that. We actually tried to do Flash animation, and there was like a tutorial in Flash that like had you move a ball or something like
Oh
that.
yeah,
Tried to do that.
and
We
like
couldn't even
make a
fucking get that
ghost
done.
turn invisible. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you learn to do Flash? Like, was it something you taught yourself, or was it something that maybe the Tomorrow's Nobodies guys helped you learn?
I definitely did that tutorial. uh, but yeah, I'm mostly self-taught. I don't know what they could have even really shown me because fucking Eric doesn't know how to use Flash. Most of it was, you know, it was just me in my fucking dark, lonely room grinding it out, figuring out how to make shit move, and you know, I draw stuff like a mouse running with its ears flopping and shit. That's the kind of just loops. I did a lot of loops to kind of figure it out.
What would be maybe your first animation project that you did put online? Was it with the Tomorrow's Nobodies guys, or was it something you did by yourself?
It was something I did myself. I think it's still on Newgrounds. If you look up Chase tunes, they're not good. But I did like these hand drawn comics in high school for the Tomorrow's Nobody forum, which I was just like a forum guy on there for a long time. They had a good community like that, which, you know, it's like where I met Stacy, and I'm still with her.
Yeah. Now, on as we mentioned, Tomorrow's Nobodies was one of your biggest starting point, maybe, and it did inspire a lot of ideas for myself and my friends, you know, to try to do entertainment based things. Um, but you mentioned sort of briefly about being in a class with Eric, and was that how you came into work for Tomorrow's Nobodies, or?
Yeah. I was just in class with him, and you know, we'd goof off, and I would. I spent a lot of time fucking at his house, just working by myself. You know, I've always, as an animator, like fucking worked through the night. I'm going to work tonight after this, but yeah, it's a lot of night owl stuff like that.
One of the things
Yeah, I met the rest through there, and David was like, you know, hi, I'm famous David. You know, good to meet you. Which is hilarious now, but he was Mr. Cool Guy back then.
one of the things that I also remember about Tomorrow's Nobodies was back when they were on Newgrounds, the upload schedule was infrequent.
Oh yeah,
And it
our
seems like
upload
everybody
schedule
eventually
was
kind of,
our next cartoon is coming tomorrow, I swear, and then it comes out in 4 months.
yeah. I remember the 12 Days of Christmas thing they did with the not TN4. But, uh,
Right, right. That
but I know that
that wasn't malicious when we started it, but that's how it is.
but I do know that eventually it seemed like everybody just kind of drifted away from the show. So you want to give sort of any insight, maybe why that original show ended with everyone? Was it just everybody moving off to different parts of life, or was there something else?
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely part of it. Um, you know, we started doing uh, David Forgets, and it was me and David kind of figuring out our own selves and our own way about doing things that, uh, you know, maybe wasn't gelling as much with what Eric liked to do. So it was kind of a breaking off point, and maybe a little contentious for a while there. Shit, it happens.
A lot of people uh, that might recognize your work, they would most likely recognize a lot of stuff you did for Cyanide and Happiness. You did a number of their animation projects, and at least what I found through research, you worked on the Freakpocalypse game as well.
Oh yeah, I was on the writing team for that one. We just started up the second one actually. Well,
Awesome.
we have a
Uh,
lot of it written already, but
so, how did you come to work for Cyanide and Happiness? Was it through connections on Newgrounds, or?
Chris Wilson was posting his very first Cyanide and Happiness comics on the TN forum. That's where I met Chris.
Oh, really? That shows how much I knew about that one.
He was a Tomorrow's Nobody fan. Yeah.
So, for when it comes to Cyanide and Happiness, is there any particular project that you would probably call your favorite that you've worked on through them?
I think I think my favorite sketch that I wrote was the Weatherman. Um, I didn't do much of the animation. I don't remember how much. Did I animate? I can't even remember. I was doing overseeing stuff every other weekly projects and all the show stuff for like 2.5, 3 years for season 1, season 2, and all the weeklies. So like, there's so many that have gone by.
So, I mean, maybe I'm just naive when it comes to this sort of area with animation, things like that. Um, but what were the differences like working on Flash animation and internet cartoons versus working on a video game, if there were any, and maybe similarities as well?
I hardly did anything in the art department for the video game. I did a couple animations right at the end, just like as a helping out thing. So I don't know a whole lot about how they're implementing it. I know they have a really complicated coop setup that I'm like, just give me coop, and they're like, we can't. It's not that easy. But as far as like the writing and stuff, Chris and them have a really detailed map of how the game plays out, and we're just kind of filling in all the jokes along the way.
In my research, which give or take is a little flawed, I know you worked with Lowbrow Studios, who also worked with uh, World Wrestling Entertainment or WWE. Now I think they dropped their name. Different television networks and on some stuff with Dorkly. Care to share any insight on some of that? Some of your time doing those works?
I did work on all that stuff. I don't know. There were some funny ones early on where I think we did a Christmas card for them, and it was just all the wrestlers at the time, like hanging up streamers and stuff. And there's a Christmas Carol playing, and it's just a bunch of big, nearly naked dudes having a nice Christmas, and it was weird a little bit. I think that might have been an internal thing, but.
Um, did any of them work directly with you guys while you were doing the work on the projects for WWE, or because I believe it was Storytime was what it was called?
As far as that stuff, we would get edited video clips, and we would import those and just fill in the black parts with. They'd have almost nothing for us to go off of, just the stories they're telling. Yeah. So we had to create all that from scratch. I think my favorite one of those I did was the Jake the Snake one, because I got to fit in this shot of Jake the Snake and his boa constrictor in front of a fireplace, like in a rocking chair, like in this nice cuddly shot. It's only for like a second, but.
So during the course of your career, obviously with any job, there's ups, there's downs. What would you personally say were maybe the highest and lowest points of your animation career?
Anime. I was gonna say writing the game, but that's not animation.
Well, I mean, if that counts, so.
It's definitely a crazy, unique opportunity that I never predicted. Was being on writing a comedy game that IGN says a good 5 out of 5, 5 out of 10. But whatever, they'll see the big picture one day. It's part 1 of 3. I had this horrible job early on, which I don't know if I should say his name and stuff, but there was a guy that wanted this musical baseball opera that was about God and like unwanted babies and stuff, and it was really weird. And he had it all planned. He'd been working on it since the 90s. He was like fucking a keyboardist for Three Dog Night or something for some big stage show. That was his It was so weird, but it all seemed weird. And I quoted him a really high price for me at the time because I was just starting out. I was like, I'll do it for $4,000. And he said, okay. And then I was like, oh no. Yeah, and that was a mistake because he would just drag on and on. He never wanted to stop giving notes, which is something I had to learn early on, is to put limits on that shit. And he got weird, and he wanted to like fly in and meet me and stuff, and like I didn't want any of that. He put a freeze on my account when he claimed his money back because he didn't think I was going fast enough, and it was a whole fucking disaster. I ended up passing that off to someone else. Like, it's your problem now. Please take it from me. Yeah.
So I know one of the things, obviously, like you had mentioned early on, that you do frequently now is streaming with Stacy or David, doing the Jank versus and live streams like that. So how do you like pursuing these different creative avenues versus what you are used to? And seeing that we're talking about video games in general, do you have a particular game that'd be your favorite?
Oh, Final Fantasy Tactics I put as my favorite for sure. I play through that one every couple of years. I think you just need it sometimes. You gotta expel that whatever's inside when just nothing's happening for everyone. I'm just doing jobs and not having any creative input about it. It's gotta go somewhere. So then I go on stream and I'm a tree and I hate all of you, in one weird stream. That's all I need to say about that. But it's also, the streaming is like an opportunity to just sit down and fucking play games, because I just stopped doing that after a while. I'd work and then I'd stare at the computer and shit, and then now instead I'm forcing myself to play games and having some more fun rack time, and able to socialize a bit with people at the same time, because it really started near the beginning of, we started a little bit before COVID and shit, I think, but
yeah, that's
but after that it was like, yeah, we're locked in here all the time. At least we're talking to people,
That actually wasn't something that I was going to ask, but that does bring up another point. How has it impacted your work, or has it even impacted it at all?
Oh, it definitely sucked for a while. I mean, everyone thinks like, oh, you work from home already, it shouldn't have caused any difference. But who didn't already work at home was all the people looking for animation jobs, or supplying them,
Yeah.
So they all just dry up and go away. Yeah, so it was kind of a struggle to get jobs for a while, but it's definitely picked up again.
Well, that's definitely good to hear. So to close right now, so what does the future hold for you? Anything you may be working on that you'd like to plug, or any other things you'd like to plug right now?
At the moment, I'm doing a monthly original for Lowbrow. I've only had one out, that Video Game Hospital, but there's another one coming like tomorrow. But yeah, those are, me and David kind of sit down and write those, so we get those out. Otherwise, it's just, I get projects and I work on them, and then no one cares.
Well, I can guarantee there are some people, like I said, that I know that are fans of you. Obviously, fans of Tomorrow's Nobodies guys as well, because that's how we all kind of came into it.
It's my nature to not take compliments.
Well, I do thank you for your time, and we will have links to some of your works there down below, description, whatever the hell you want to call it down there. But thanks again for this opportunity.
Yeah, sure thing.
Once again, I would like to thank Chase for his time. Super humble, super cool guy. Thanks for the interview. It really meant a lot to me. Hopefully you guys there liked what you saw as well. And if you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that good old YouTube stuff. And as I said before, Chase's stuff, we down the description below. I do want a little bit of a call to action here. As I mentioned before, hasn't always been easy getting these interview requests. Been kind of hard finding people that might be willing to take it. So if you happen to be somebody on the internet who has done anything creative yourself or have some sort of story to tell, go ahead and get in contact with me either through the comments below or through the Facebook page, facebook.com/sfamstud. Thank you for watching and have a great day.